pick is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which I think is the best game of this generation.
Of this generation?
Oh yeah. I think so.
Hold on, that's a bold ass statement, and so I want to hear more about this.
Okay.
Why is it so great?
So here's the thing is, and I might be biased, and maybe this is why, this may have kicked off everything. I love games that start out that you're like in a cave, or you're in a prison, or you're somewhere like you're really like tight in, and then you get out there. And it kind of like, it sets the tone. It starts there, and then it's like, it's just teasing you. It's like, look at all that stuff you can't get to. Don't you feel stupid?
A great plateau.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and then you eventually get there, and then you're like playing these like really cool shrines that, you know, they're not super difficult, but they definitely take, you know, some time to kind of figure out. But then it's like, wow, finally I got my paraglider. I can go actually explore the area. And then it's like, just do whatever you want. It lets you out there. And so I'm in a field and I'm happy. It's just like, it was almost like therapeutic for me. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Like, I've never really felt a game where it's like, I feel in total control of this and I feel like I can go anywhere I want and there's no limitation. If I see it, I can climb it.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. And so like the game, it gives you like just these little things where it's like, what is that over there? Let me take a look at it. You know, that and like, and even like the cooking, it's like, I would grab a bunch of stuff and I'd be like, Morgan, go cook, you know, like have some fun with that. And she would love doing it. And so it's such a vibrant world. There's so much happening. And I can totally understand why there's people out there that they have valid complaints about it. It just brought like this perfect balance of like what I want in a game, which is exploration. All the bosses, they felt like there was just this sense of like, man, that they can kill you at any time. So
I mean, I think the thing that made old Zelda so rigid was that you needed to go to this dungeon next.
Yes.
Because that's the dungeon where you get a hook shot, and the hook shot is what will help you get to the next dungeon.
Right.
And that's what made it so restrictive, and that's what people didn't like. But at the same time, that's also of value, because now that dungeon where you get the hook shot can really lean into the hook shot mechanic, and the boss can be all about the hook shot. And you can kind of play with that toy to its extent. But when you're so open, you can't do that at all. Mm-hmm. You can't be like, oh, well, you need the hook shot to do this. Like, there is no hook shot, because you could get to this boss from the very beginning of the game, and you need to be able to defeat it in some form. So, it's kind of, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. I think that there could have been a better balance.
Okay. I think perhaps you're correct. Like, they could have, you know, leaned in on the things that you have and maybe utilized them more, for sure. Because a lot of times you can get by and not use any of them, you know?
Ideally, the next Zelda has that same kind of openness. Like, you can go in any direction. No one's going to stop you. Yeah. But you come across, like, entrances to dungeons or entrances to, like, areas where you might need an item from a certain thing.
For sure. And
you're going to have people complaining, well, now I have to do this dungeon before I can go to that dungeon. And it's like, well, yeah, but like that's what progression is, you know. Yeah. That's what like narrative and story. That's how you can slot in those chunks of story and that drive.
So you're saying like trying to take the best of maybe both those things.
I think so. Yeah. I think that's where Breath of the Wild fell totally flat for me. Is once you get over the wonder and awe of discovery and exploration, there's nothing driving me.
And maybe that's the thing, is that like I just haven't gone over that wonder. Yeah. And I just feel like I've had enough experience, so maybe that's just like a personal choice of yours, which is totally fine. I get that, and maybe it's just like we have to look back and like this is almost kind of just like a totally different Zelda. I feel like.
Oh, absolutely.
And so like
in a beautiful way though, it's also a remake or reinvention of Zelda 1 for the NES. Because Zelda 1 starts and you go. Okay. I mean, it's obviously much more limited. It's 8-bit and it's just like 16 different screens. Yeah. Or probably more than 16, but it's a grid of screens. Yeah. And that's the whole game. Right. And you can go into dungeons within those screens. Okay. But that is more or less Breath of the Wild. There's nothing stopping you from going to this side of the map or that side of the map. Yeah. Yeah.
So I see what you're saying, like, and I'm actually in agreement with that. Is that like Probably it would be nice if there was some sort of like limitation there, but maybe not as restrictive. Like, I just don't want it to be a linear experience. I don't want it to be like, if you get this, you have access to this. If you have access to this, you have access to that. I kind of want to be able to like stumble upon like a few things and maybe have different type of branching elements that way. Mm-hmm. Again, like, my only complaint really is just like the weapon durability, you know, and they should be able to fix that. And I wish that they would make a patch or something where they allowed access to be able to do something like that. So
I mean, we discussed this before we started recording, but like, as for weapon durability, I don't really have too much of an issue with that at all. I think that it forces you to get creative with how you take on enemies, and it's constantly changing. You know, like, oh, you have this great sword, but you only have it for so long, and then what are you going to do? You got to figure it out. It keeps you on your toes.
It does.
The only thing that I really thought was ridiculous was you have to put so much time into grinding at these, what are they called? The shrines.
Yeah.
To get enough health that you can pull out the Master Sword. So you can only pull out the Master Sword after you've done a lot of work. Yeah. Right? And then the Master Sword can break. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. Like, you use the Master Sword and then it just explodes, and then you have to wait 30 minutes or whatever for it to recharge.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? This should be your reward. Your reward should be just this unlimited...
Because the thing is that if you have that Master Sword at this point, you're probably pretty much endgame.
Mm-hmm. I'm not 100% on this, but I did hear that the second DLC did patch it, or there's a thing you can do to make the Master Sword unbreakable.
Okay.
So that's cool.
I would buy
that
DLC
later
for that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think Zelda, like, I think the most important thing with Breath of the Wild is that, like, I feel like maybe they started listening a little bit more to fans. And I know it's not the Zelda that you want.
I think they started listening more to critics, not fans.
Okay, that's fair.
Because fans, let's be real, fans will just like anything.
Yeah. Okay, right. So, yeah, so people that had issues with previous ones, they said, okay. And that's what I feel like with the Switch in general, is that, like, you have, at the end of the day, within a year of the Switch being out, you have an incredible Zelda that people love, an incredible Mario. So obviously they were listening to people with these games. So, you know, Zelda probably should have been higher on your list just because, like, it is Zelda. And so if
we're being completely objective and without my personal preference, factored in there, Zelda should be way above RE7.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. What else did I even have on here? I already forgot. Uncharted Lost Legacy. Like,
but I'm saying that, like, so there's obviously things that they probably could have done better.
Yeah.
To appease you or other fans out there.
Everything that I've said about Zelda, I think, on here has been either a criticism or, like, what I think would make it better.
Yeah.
I want to make it clear that I think Zelda Breath of the Wild was almost like a seminal moment in open world game design. I think that it is pretty important. I think it did some amazing fucking things that I've never seen any other game do.
Yeah.
So I want to give it that credit.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, props to Breath of the Wild. I think that it absolutely belongs, like, in the upper echelon of this Game of the Year discussion.
For sure.
But Mario Odyssey came out this year.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think in the same way that Breath of the Wild did something bold and new and big and expanded on just exploration and discovery, Mario did that for just kind of gameplay. It's amazing what you can do with just the little inclusion of Cappy. Cappy changed the game. Literally.
Throw that hat.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, the things that you can accomplish with just that hat. And this sounds so stupid when you say it out loud, but it's true. Like, when you go from Mario 64 to Sunshine to Galaxy to 3D World, as you subscribers probably know, I played through every single one in the lead up to Odyssey, so I know those games very well. They're all fresh in my mind. I have my issues with a lot of them. Like, if you want to poke holes in Odyssey, you can say that a lot of the levels, there's a lack of balance from kingdom to kingdom. Like, one kingdom might be sprawling, have so many moons, and then another one might have 6 or 10 moons. What the hell was that? Yeah.
Right.
There's the ones on the moon that aren't great, and those outstay their welcome. So, like, there's issues there for sure. I wish there was more consistency across the kingdoms in Odyssey, but just mechanically, the way that Mario plays is damn it, I think it's the best he's played ever in 3D Mario. Like, and that's a big deal to me. It's a really big deal to me. I think that for decades I've said that 64 has not been topped. Even if you look at the 3D anthology where I played through all of them, I just kept saying it's no 64. You know, that game still just plays the best. Just by adding the ability to throw Cappy, and that reorients the way that your momentum's going, that's a huge deal. Then on top of that, you can dive in the new direction that you're facing, and then if there's enough space, you'll bounce off of him, get another verticality leap, and like you just layer on all these little pieces. And on top of that, like there's the butt stomp jump, so you can butt stomp in place, so you don't need a running start anymore to get like the highest jump. Now you just butt stomp, bam, and bounce up, and that's a game changer too. Like, so there's all these mechanics that, unless you're really, really invested in how Mario has always played, you'll take for granted or not even know they're there.
Right.
But if you do know that stuff, and then you practice it, and you put it into practice when you're playing Odyssey, it's just like, wow, you guys, holy crap, the tools that you've given me, I can do so much with them. And I can be really, really creative with how I play it. And you can use that to kind of bend or break the game. You'd be like, oh, the game wants me to capture a bullet bill right here. And you're supposed to use bullet bill to get through this whole thing. But what if I link this to this to this, and then I keep that momentum, and then dive, and then I kick the wall, and you can get through it without it. And Nintendo knew that. Like, that's not an accident. Like, there's so many things where it's like, you think you're getting the best of the game, and it's like, no, they wanted you to discover that if you use the tools given to you that way.
Okay, that's fair. I'm not laughing at that. I'm just like, just thinking it's like, but Bullet Bill does break walls though.
He sure does. Cool. Bullet Bill is cool. And so, here's a major criticism that I've seen of Odyssey from a couple people, and it's that becoming an enemy or becoming a different animal is so simple, and controlling them is basic, and there's no depth to it. Okay, I mean, I think I agree. That's not why I like it. I mean, I think that gives some nice variety. It's cute. It's fun to like. I would argue that they all play pretty well. Yeah, like, they're simple for sure, but they play the way that they should. It feels right. I think maybe the most complex and most interesting enemy that you can capture is the little bird with the like spiky
I love
thing.
That bird.
You're like flinging yourself up. Yeah. That's so cool.
It is.
And like you can build an entire game around that mechanic if you wanted to, you know? So that's the thing, is like the game is bursting at the seams with creativity, both like visually and mechanically, and like you were saying, that every kingdom has its own residence and its own visual style. Like New Donk City looks nothing like the Luncheon Kingdom. Right. It's just nuts. Like the amount of art styles and variety and creativity and joy. It's just the tone of the game is a fucking ice cream sundae, you know? Like, it's just happiness. Yeah. It's jovial.
It is.
And I think that really this argument's going to be hard to sell, because we enjoy different things from games that were trying to do different things. Yeah. So like you just talked about how peaceful and pleasant just being in Breath of the Wild was. Yeah. And I can say sincerely that when the New Donk Festival happened, it was so happy and, I don't know, like bombastic, and it was just celebration of this franchise that means a whole fucking lot to me, that like I got a little watery eyed, and I was like, this is something else, man.
That emotion I would probably never feel for Mario or Zelda, because I don't have that experience yet. Yeah. But, and that's the thing, is that like I could totally see that, because that New Donk City Festival, that was exciting for me, and it's like the inclusion of like the Donkey Kong like part. Like,
Donkey Kong.
It's cool. Like,
just the lyrics in that song are about Mario. Let's get some coins. Let's have a great time.
Yeah,
you're my superstar.
Right.
I'll be your one-up girl.
It's a very
come on, man. Like, it's so happy, and it knows what it is, and it's celebrating it. I don't know. Like I love it so much. And on top of that, like, let's be real. This game was kind of tailored to my sensibilities, especially like as the biggest Mario 64 fan on the planet. This game loves Mario 64. Yeah. The big like surprise at the end is Mushroom Kingdom from Mario 64.
Right.
You know, there's a moon that you can only get if you have played Mario 64 and you know to look up at the ceiling in Princess Peach's castle.
Right.
You know, like, why would you do that otherwise?
Yeah, it's cool.
The costume that you get Mario 64 costume, and the moons are stars, and all. Oh my god, dude! It was like a dream come true. It was everything I didn't know I wanted.
Yeah.
You know. So for all its shortcomings and the kingdoms being kind of inconsistent, I couldn't care less, man.
Yeah.
Mario Odyssey was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love that game.
People that are kind of in like their late 20s, early 30s, they grew up with Ocarina of Time and Mario 64 kind of being in like their kid years.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, Mario has always been a part of my life.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really special for people like in our group because it's like, well, both of these games kind of feel like those games of old.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, right? Like, because Ocarina of Time and Mario 64 are both Nintendo 64 games that are still considered the best of the best of their franchises.
When you think Zelda or you think Mario, those are pretty much up there.
Yeah, those are
the 2D ones.
Those are usually called the definitive ones.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And here we are in the same year where we have a Zelda and a Mario that have changed things up for the first time in a long, long time.
Yeah, exactly.
And everyone loves them.
Yeah.
So you can't go wrong.
Right.
Here, I'm going to shock the world right now.
Okay.
Shock the world. After having this discussion, I think that I've made my point that Mario Odyssey is extremely, is a feat. They've done something really special here.
Yeah.
I think that it's my favorite game of the year, but I think Breath of the Wild is definitely a more important game to the industry.
I think so too.
Yeah.
We're good on our game of the year?
Yeah, well, Critbox's Game of the Year is now officially The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Congratulations, Zelda.
Yeah, done good.
Yeah.
Here it comes!
You must save her, my daughter.
I actually feel good about that. I'm okay with that.
Good.
Yeah.
And of course I do. I'm very happy.
Fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. That's it for our Game of the Year discussion. What did you think? What is your Game of the Year? Let us know below. And am I a coward for not standing up for Mario? Alright guys, catch you next time. Bye.
Oh,
my neck hurts from looking at you.